Good evening. We're back and we're doing more of the same. Uh, Last night we um, worked on this SDK that I've got that I've been tinkering away on. It's called AnthropicClient. It's just a C# library for the Anthropic API, and we are working on adding support for their batches API. So they have a new um, some new API endpoints that support creating batches of messages. Where I left off last night was I had successfully implemented creating a batch, retrieving a batch, and I was going to do the retrieving message batch results next. And I actually do have some results now. It took a long time. It can take up to 24 hours for a batch to complete. And I just had a single message in my batch. So, uh, like the size of the batch has nothing to do with the SLA. Um, if you're going to use this particular set of APIs, you got to have a use case that can definitely be okay with 24-hour responses. This is basically all this endpoint does is it just returns a file. It's a JSON-L file, which basically is just JSON objects all separated by new lines. So that's what we're going to implement next, which is retrieving a message batch results. And they actually say in one of their guides, let's see, it's in this one, the message batch guides. They actually say down here at the bottom that it's recommended. Let's see, where is it? Somewhere in here. Yeah, it's recommended to stream the results back rather than download them all at once. Because theoretically, if you're using this endpoint, you're probably doing you're definitely doing more than one request in a batch like I'm doing. So that's the way we're going to implement it. We're going to stream it back. We're going to use an I async enumerable. So we'll make the request, we'll get the response, we will read the response as a stream, we'll read it line by line, and each line that we get will parse into a strongly typed object that matches what they're giving us back here, and then we will yield that up to the caller. So that's what we're going to do. So let's go ahead and head over to the code here. So the first thing I want to do, so this definitely isn't going to be a method that I can write end-to-end test against, because they only keep the batch results for like 30 days, and it takes 24 hours to get results. So an end-to-end test is not realistic in this case. I'm going to have to just go with an integration test and mock the response, and that should be fine. Shouldn't be anything wrong with that, but just something to be aware of. So I'm going to go in here to the very bottom. I should definitely think about breaking this method up. So what do we want? We want a new test, like async task, and we'll just call it get message batch results async when called and successful, it should return all batch results. And then we're going to have just kind of a similar thing here, right? Yeah, but we're not going to respond with that. So all of this is not right. So this is going to be application x.json l. And what we're actually going to respond with, we'll just put a string here for now. But what we'll actually respond with here is actually going to be the content, or the actual JSON, or the JSON new line. So let's go ahead and implement this guy. This is just our helper method here for setting up our mock. Public static mock request. Batch ID. And that's the right endpoint results, right? Yeah. So if we go back over here, we're gonna hit the message batches batch ID result endpoint. What we want. So that's good. And it's a get. And okay, so then let's go ahead and populate this with some content. This is 2. Yes, this would be 2. Need to escape all that, don't I? What if I just... Let's see. What if I create a test file, a new file, batch results.jsonl. Just read this in. So then what we'll do is file. Let's see, there's some other. Yeah, get test file path. Here we go. Top. Okay, and then down here, what we'll do is we'll say our batch results equals await get test file path, which is going to be batch results.jsonl. Actually, that's the batch results path. Or read all the text, and then that's the text that will respond. Okay, and then we're gonna say await. Actually, it's gonna be var result equals, and we're not going to await this. We're not going to await this get message batch result async. We're not going to wait this because the reason why we're not going to wait this is because this is going to return an async enumerable, which is something that can be a wait for each token, right? So it'll be something that's like a wait for each. There's also an async link library that you can use when you're dealing with these types of enumerables. So yeah, so then it'll be something like well, I guess what I want to do is I also want to say var, yeah, expected results, and that will equal JSON serializer dot deserialize call this batch results text, and then we'll say var batch results is going to be equal to batch results text split on environment.newline. And then what we'll say is we'll say var expected results equals that, and we'll deserialize it. And we will use the JSON serialization options dot default options. We need to create this new batch result thing. But then down here, what we'll say is we'll say, yeah, await toList async. Say, yeah, that should be equivalent. Okay, so now let's get to implementing things that will make this compile. So message batch result, we need to define that. So let's add a test for our models here. Message batch result.cs. Base is going to be AnthropicClient test dot models. Didn't name my file right. This should be tests. Excuse me. And then basically this is just going to be really a serialization test. So what do these results look like? Yeah, what do they look like? Let's see. Oh, I guess I can actually represent this with with some existing models I have. So if I go back here, just create a new file so I can add this. Yeah, so this, well, I guess this is going to be a little bit. So message batch result is this top object. So this is right here. This is an existing model I already have called a message response, but I'm going to need to create two models to represent this object and then one to represent the top level. So message batch result, and then what are good names? Message batch result and result item. I don't know. I don't know what a good name is. Message batch result item, maybe. Because I think I called it. I think I called it the other thing message batch request item. So then maybe we call this message batch result item. Naming things is hard, right? Message batch result item. Let's see, message batch result item, like that. Yeah, that'll work. Let's see. Public void instructor uncalled. It should return instance with properties set. Yeah, something like that. Message results. I think I'm going to call it message batch result. Yeah. But I don't think I need this to this could probably just be parameterless. Since we don't need this guy. Yeah, we don't need that guy. Okay, so let's go build that model real quick. Let's see. Go up here to our models folder. Put a new guy in here. Message batch result item. That's yes. Namespace. It's models. Public class. Yep. Presents a single message. Let's see, it will have a custom ID, right? Hold on, where'd my, yeah, here we go. So I have a custom ID, and then we're gonna have our result object. So let's see. This will be our message batch result. This is just gonna be an emitter. Custom ID. This will have a snake case JSON name. Gets the custom ID of the message. Yeah. Let's see, and then this guy is just going to be new, and this guy is going to be this guy's going to be public message batch result, like that. Oh, public, sorry, public class. Public class, and then this just has a public string type. we can just default that string.empty. String.empty. Type succeeded. So what are there different? Are there error types? Huh. Oh yeah, see, so there's succeeded, there's erred, and there's expired. Once batch processing is ended, each message's request in the batch will have a result. There are 4 result types: expired, canceled, erred, and succeeded. I'm kind of interested what the error looks like. If your result has an error, its result.error will be set to our standard error shape. Oh, interesting. So they're polymorphic, huh? Wish they had an example of what they all look like. They don't go into the shape of the errors here. They only show succeeded examples. But yeah, I don't want to. I mean, if it's polymorphic, I would prefer to represent that in the models. You know, like I would prefer to have like a message batch succeed result and a message batch expired result, and I'd rather I think that would make it a little bit nicer. Let's see. So what do I want to do here? I guess let's see if anyone has examples. Anthropic message batch result examples, all types. Message batch result expired. And I'm guessing there's no way to like force it to err, force it to succeed. You feel sleepy. Yeah, I don't know. I'm getting hung up on this, but I'd like to stick with how I've been doing this for the rest of the. Basically, this should be an ab. Basically, the idea here is this should be a public abstract class that always has um, a public message batch result that always sets the type. That's wrong. That's just outright wrong. Yeah. So then this gets the type of message batch result. Yep. And then we'd have an actual how do I do this in other message? Well, what do I want to set this to? Let's see. Anthropic result. Yeah, it's just always initialized. Let's see. What message response usage? Yeah, I guess I don't have any other. Well, let's see. Tool call. Yeah, but that always has. It always gets. It gets newed up through a constructor. Text content. Let's see. This content type. Yeah. Yeah, message batch result. I guess this, I just gonna init to spring.empty, but here, I don't know what I would init this to. I guess we could have a null object, right? We could do something like public class null message batch result, like that. And this could just get newed up to a whole message batch. No, that's wrong. See, this Copilot strikes again. Gets the ID. No, does not get the ID. Gets the result of the message result item. And then we're going to have one for succeeded. Succeeded message batch result. Message batch result. GitHub Copilot's getting a little too eager there. I'm not ready to do that. Could just be public. Succeeded. Yeah. And we could probably actually make ourselves a public static class, which is message batch result. They call it content type? Yeah, message batch result type, I guess. I don't know. Does it make sense to have this, or can we just say it's never going to be null? Just aggressively. I don't know. I don't know what the right way, I don't know what the right answer is there. I don't really use the null object anywhere else in this class library, so it's kind of weird that it shows up here. I think I'll just trust them, and I'll say default this. And we'll say it's never going to be null. Which means we can get rid of this guy. Get rid of this guy. But now I have 4 other types I need to represent based on their succeeded, erred, canceled, and expired. And it really bugs me they don't have they do say there's a result.error. Excuse me. Yeah, I think since they don't give me any documentation around what the shape looks like, um, I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go off the documentation. Um, so I'll have a type for each state, but the only thing that will have any meaningful data on it will be the erred or the succeeded result. So we're just gonna have let's see, what is it? Succeeded public string erred public const string failed expired. Then just have a result for each of those. Contains an error response. Let's see if GitHub Copilot gets this right. Kind of right, not really. A public constructor does that. What they did say that this thing can have an error property, and it has the same shape as their API errors. So this would be public Anthropic error, and yeah, we'll just say that. Actually, what we have a default for that. We can say new API error, right? Or new error. And that defaults. Okay, so we'll just say that's a default to the Anthropic error. Perfect. Let's see, summary. Nice. Represents a message. Fault that was canceled. Oh, just like that. So we should have 4 of them. We should have succeeded, erred, what? Where did I get failed? This should be canceled. Erred, canceled. Canceled only has 1 L. And then the last one. Just like that. Okay, and these are really just types. So instead of matching on a string, which I mean you could still match on the string, I guess, if you wanted, but instead of having to match on the string, now we just have strongly typed objects that represent each of those particular result types, and we can pattern match on them, right? So you can check to see, right? You can say if message batch result is a succeeded message batch result, then you can actually work with that that data. So let's see. Succeeded, erred, canceled. That's fine. what do we, oh, we need to add a converter for this. So for the system.text.json, we need converters. So we need to add a new converter, and we will call it message batch result converter.cs. And we'll just copy one of the existing ones that we have. Because it's going to be basically the same thing. Message batch result converter. This needs to be a message result. Copy. Right. This, okay, so then this becomes message batch result type dot succeeded. This then we're going to just serialize to that, and we'll just do that for the rest of them. Word canceled. This should have one L in it, Steven. Oh, this needs to be message. And this should be unknown message batch result. Then we just need to include that converter in our serializer options. Like that. And now we know how to just deserialize and serialize that type. We do, though, need to, let's see, we need to add our comments here. Yeah. So going back to that successful response. So if it's successful, then it's going to have this message property, which is going to be a message response. So going back here, we need a property that's going to be public message response message. Yeah, like that. Cool. So now we need to write a bunch of tests for all these different models that we just created. I was going to leave this all in one class, but now that we have so many things, we're going to pull these into separate. These are going to get pulled into separate. Or separate files, I should say. Custom ID was the only one that needed a custom property. Let's see. So now we've got message batch result item, result type. We've got succeeded. We've got expired. We have errored. We have canceled message batch result. It's cool. message batch result item. Yeah, I'm wondering, I don't know, maybe it does make sense to have a null message batch result. Or maybe we just have a internal have an internal constructor. Only we are ever going to call this. Oh, well, it's abstract. So yeah, we'll just make a null. We'll just make a null object. That's what we'll do. We'll just make a null object. This is fine. I don't know why I'm getting hung up on it, but we'll make a null. So we'll say, and we'll make it internal too. We'll say internal class null message. But we can't pass string.empty. We need to pass null. I'm not a big fan of like the null floating around everywhere. Actually, you know what? Didn't I decide I would just do this? Yeah, I was just gonna leave it. I'll just leave it as default. That's fine. Can't make up my mind. Okay, so it should be, let's see, result should be it should be null, or it should be why does it keep wanting to do that? It should be default. Custom ID should be empty. Okay, going back to this guy. So now we have our message result item. Let's see, we have two lists. We just need to implement this guy. Let's go to our Anthropic API client. Excuse me. And let's add here ask Anthropic it's not Anthropic results. It's not going to be a task either. It's actually going to be an async enumerable, and it's going to be a message batch result item. An async enumerable that yields the response that yields the message batch result item. That yields the results as that's fine. Okay, now my client's not happy because it doesn't implement that. Let's go ahead and implement it. Oh, I was feeling good, but when I got on, but now I'm kind of getting sleepy. I might only have an hour in me. Excuse me. Let's see, where were we? We're up here. And so basically the idea here is we are going to make the request. We are going to get the response content. We are going to read it as a string. We are going to read it line by line. We're going to parse each line. Yeah. So that's the general idea of what we're going to do there. Yeah. So let's see if we can actually do that, right? So we'll say var response, not just that, but results. You know what? I don't know if it gave us back any Anthropic headers. I think it did. It just sends back the file. Don't even need to worry about them because we're not even returning a result. We're just returning the batch result item. So yeah, so then what we'll say is we'll say well, what do we do if it errors, right? Like what do I do up here? So if response is false, then we return an error event. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what a good way of handling that is. But the initial response. I mean, do we want to throw an exception here? None of my other methods do that. It kind of breaks the paradigm. But it doesn't really make sense to return results in this case. I don't know. the right choice there? I get so hung up on this stuff. It slows me down so much. Yeah. I guess I'm gonna throw. Man, I really hate it. I really hate that. I don't like the idea of it throwing. Yeah, because like if it's not successful, I want them to be aware of it, and I want them to have the air. Uh, could I? This looks ugly, but could I do this? Could I do? Um, well, no, because I have to. I can't return. Or could I? I mean, could I return a task of results? Could I do this? Um, but where this is I async enumerable of type message, and then I could, because theoretically what that could allow me to do is then I could say await and then instead of yielding I could return this for which if they're not there I just return a bunch of empty values if they're not there. It's not a big deal. Otherwise yeah, what do I do otherwise? I guess otherwise I got to return a local function that iterates over the lines. I don't know if I like this, but I really don't like throwing exceptions when none of my other methods do. Let's see. So what I need to do is I need to do something like this up here. So I want to read it as a stream. So I guess what I'm thinking of doing here is I'm thinking of creating a local function that's like async new role read or something like this. Yeah, I guess that's that, you know. I don't know if this is actually, I mean, is this performant or good code? I don't know. While line is not null, if result item is not null, yield it, otherwise move on. Yeah. Looks like what I want, although I don't know if this is the right I don't know if this is the right way to do it. I mean, you could say, well, Steven, just get over it and throw, you know, throw the thing, but I didn't know, that just doesn't. But then what you would do here is you would say if, well, no, you just say result dot, well, now you would actually say await, and then this would be var, or no, result dot is success should be true, and then instead of this you would say result dot value is that. Okay, let's see if this works. Yeah, let's go ahead and run it. See what happens. It worked. I just want to actually see the results. So there's the text from our file, from our test file. Here's our results. Yeah, usages 3611. Yeah, cool. Yeah, so that's, I mean, I basically, um, where was I? Where did I do that? What's it called? Get message batch result. This guy. Yeah. Let's see. Do I like that? Oh, I don't like this. Um, I don't like this. Our content. Uh, yeah, I wonder. If we can't deserialize the line, I'm kind of thinking maybe we just yield a um, yield, but here we just return an empty an empty. This I'm still not 100% certain. This is. I mean, I think this is okay. Um, yeah. Anyways, we have quite a few tests we need to write. We have a bunch of models that we introduced that we need to write tests for. Uh, excuse me. We have a bunch of models we need to write tests for. There's a bunch of different cases we need to write serialization logic for. Excuse me. Oh. Oh. Excuse me. Excuse me. Goodness, I've got the hiccups now. Yeah. I don't have any more in me, I don't think. I think I've run out of gas. But that was pretty good. That was a pretty good run to get the get message batch results implemented. But I do have a bunch of tests I need to write for these other models. I kind of want to add excuse me. I kind of want to add uh, I see this is going to be type expired. Canceled. I don't really know what the shape of these look like, other than they have a type. Right, canceled, expired, and then aired. Third, fourth, fifth request. And in this case, I do know that it should have an error, which that has a shape to it, and I have lots of examples of those errors. I can probably go grab one from their docs really easy. So the reason for adding those is obviously because then that gives me one of each type: succeeded, canceled, expired, and aired. Which means as part of my integration test now, as part of the integration test, I have to test deserializing all those different types. So let's try running this again, see if it still passes. Unknown message result type canceled. Okay, So let's see, message. Oh, this should be lowercase. See, that's why you test even that stuff. Because if I had a unit test already for this, I would have caught that. Yeah. Okay. Cool. So that all works still. So if people are using my SDK and they're getting these results back, they can basically pattern match. They can pattern match for those different typed objects that I have. Those succeeded results, cancel results. They don't have to check some. They don't have to check a type string property. They can pattern match on a strongly typed object, which I think is nice. Um, I mean, I mean, they could still check if they wanted to, right? Because what they're getting back is they're getting back that abstract message batch result, which has the type string field on it. So if they want to do switching on the type string, they can. But I think having strongly typed objects is a better dev experience. Myself, personally. Okay, I bet my hiccups are getting annoying. So I think I'm gonna wrap this up. How do I want to? I guess how do I want to? Well, there's one thing that's still bothering me. This duplicated logic. Excuse me. So I have this logic in two places now. I have this get test file logic in two places. So I think what I'm gonna do is just create some sort of utility. Let's see, new file helper. I know. Classic file helper. Yeah, classic. Test files. File helper. And we can literally take this guy, paste him right there. This guy doesn't even need to be public. Yes, public. Static. Then just we don't really even have to change our test code, do we? We could just say helper that. Oh well, I guess it's only used in 3 places, huh? Let's just do and over here. Say we'll just replace it with file, helper. Actually, this probably should be something like test file helper or something like that. That's probably better. That's fine. Okay. Yeah, like I said, I don't have any more in me. But I'm gonna say feature implement get message batch results async method, and then we do need to come back and write a bunch of tests. Yeah. I would be curious, just since I already have a we won't leave this in. But since I do have a batch with results, I'd be curious. So this is just going to let me make a live request. Because for this endpoint, I'm not going to have an end-to-end test. Just because of the nature of the endpoint, the length of time it takes to get results, the fact that they clear out results every 30 days. But yeah, it looks like it. Yeah, there you go. It works. Type is succeeded. So I have a message response. I have some content. Hello, how can I assist you today? Perfect. Yeah. Okay, so it works. Okay, I think I can be satisfied with that for now. We will. Yeah, okay, and then let's real quick, just so you can see. I can't move on to the next method because if I look at my test coverage, my code coverage has dropped probably quite a bit because I added a bunch of models, all of which I don't think I have good tests. I don't have any unit tests for them. Which you could argue, like, well, you don't, since you have that one pretty robust integration test. But I'm kind of anal when it comes to writing tests. Let's see. We should have some new results here. So sorry for my hiccups. Oh, it's so annoying. Oh, we actually still have pretty good line line coverage. Yeah, so we don't ever test the writing right now because we're just deserializing it. So we can write some tests for serializing, not just deserializing. And then yeah, that's the only place that we're not covered at the moment, really. So that one integration test I have is actually pretty robust. I'll add unit tests though for everything else, just to stick with the way I've been doing things. But I just don't have it in me tonight to finish that. So this is where I think I'm gonna wrap up and end it for the evening. At this rate, at this rate, I'll get done adding all these methods to this client in another 3 days. No, actually, that was probably the most involved of all these endpoints because actually, I thought this was going to be really quick, but what made it take a long time was, or what made it take longer than what I was expecting, is the fact that these that these result objects are polymorphic, and so then I had to think through how I wanted to represent them. More specifically, how I wanted to represent the non-success cases. But for now, I'm just going to go with what they documented. They documented that if it's a successful type, then it has a message property. If it's an error type, then it has an error property. If it is expired or canceled, they don't really go into detail about what those look like. So for now, I'm not going to worry about capturing any of that information unless someone raises an issue over it. Then and they can give me an example. The other two though should go actually pretty quick. So list message batches, I already have paging set up. So I already have classes and methods to deal with paging. So this should be pretty straightforward. And I already have a model to represent the batches. So that should be pretty quick. Canceling a batch, that's just making a post request with an ID and then getting that batch back. So that should go really quick. And then deleting is the same situation. I guess I will need a model to represent a batch delete response, but that's about it here. So these three I should be able to knock out pretty quick. I don't know if I'll knock them out on stream or not. That's the one thing I promised myself is that I'm not gonna wait to write code until I can stream while I write it, because that will be too limiting in terms of productivity. So I don't know if the next time I stream, if I'll be implementing this again or if I'll have already done it. But yeah, whenever I stream, it's just going to be whatever I want to work on at that given point in time. It's not necessarily going to be some sort of project that I only do when I stream, at least for now. Maybe I come up with something like that, but for now, that's my plan. So yeah, thanks for hanging in. If you're watching, I appreciate it. I hope some of what I'm doing is enjoyable for people if they're watching. If not, it's just good for me to have some accountability to sit down and work on some of this stuff before going to bed. With that said, I hope you guys had a good day. Hope you have a good evening, and I'll see you next time.